Because of the recent attention of Yoda and his species thanks to the Mandalorian and quote-unquote baby Yoda, I have decided to do a re-explanation of Yoda's backstory, as we'll be exploring the backstory of Grandmaster Yoda from both canon and legends, beginning with canon, in an attempt to shed some light on where Grandmaster Yoda came from, again both from canon as well as the expanded universe in legends. The canon story of Grandmaster Yoda is a far murkier one, with again quite intentionally not a lot of information revealed about Yoda's backstory, including his planet of origin or even his species name. All that we know for sure about Yoda is he was born around 900 years before the Battle of Endor, and that he belonged to a species and a civilization that was ancient even for the Star Wars galaxy, presumably a race of beings that were around before the formation of humans in the typical Star Wars mythos. Yoda was apparently brought to the Jedi Order for training at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, with a young Yoda's arrival at the Jedi Temple being one met with great anticipation by the older masters, because of the fact that Yoda in fact had one of the highest midichlorian counts ever recorded in the Jedi archives, perhaps in canon the highest midichlorian count ever recorded before beings such as Anakin Skywalker and Luke Skywalker would arrive in the Star Wars galaxy. The only real story from canon that we get from Yoda as far as his time as a Jedi apprentice comes from a story that his master once told him, that being a tale about two ancient Jedi far older than Yoda or even Yoda's master at the time. The story went that one Jedi master heard of the death of another master's apprentice, and therefore sent condolences to the other Jedi, who this one Jedi considered to be far more powerful than any other Jedi in existence. When this wise Jedi master named Kung eventually found the greater Jedi master, he was not mourning the death of his apprentice, but rather celebrating, as the wiser, more powerful Jedi master explained to Kung that when his apprentice died and became one with the Force, this was reason for celebration, not for mourning, as all beings are made of the Force and truly belong with it. Yoda and his master considered this a great spiritual lesson, a lesson that Yoda would later recount to a young Luke Skywalker on the planet of Dagobah, although to Yoda's own admittance he did not know whether the two Jedi masters discussed in the story were in fact real or fictional characters. Nonetheless, this was a story and a lesson that would stick with Yoda until the day he himself died 900 years later. Beyond this, we know that Yoda achieved the rank of a Jedi Master around 100 years old, as well as trained approximately 20,000 Jedi to the level of knighthood, although his involvement on these of course varied. The most famous of Yoda's pupils though was in fact Jedi Master Dooku, but this is all we really know about Yoda in Star Wars canon and his journey of becoming a Jedi Master. In Legends though, we know far more. In Legends, it is revealed that Yoda was originally from a planet that was not on any of the Jedi archive, and that initially he didn't even know that he was Force sensitive. It was originally Yoda's journey in life and goal in life to become a simple merchant in more of the core worlds, as all Yoda really wanted to do was to make a simple living. In order to do so, at a young age, Yoda and his human friend, a companion of an unknown name, eventually left their home planet. Unfortunately for the two of them though, their ship was damaged in space. The two of them spent several days in space when their rations and their life support systems began to run extremely low. The two young individuals thought that all hope was lost and that they would soon meet their final fate by the dark grip of space. However, just before the two of them lost all hope, something was picked up on their sensors, a world that they just had enough fuel and resources to get to. When they eventually landed on this world, they discovered that it was foggy and swampy, a planet we all know as Dagobah, but a planet that these two travelers had no idea where they were. The two of them spent several days on the planet until they were discovered by a wayward Jedi, a Jedi Master called Master Nakata, who revealed to both of the individuals that each of them had a strong affinity with the Force, and that both of them were very much Force sensitive. Master Nakata then offered the role of an apprentice to a young Yoda, calling him a Padawan for the first time. It is believed that Yoda and his friend actually trained on the planet of Dagobah for potentially years, as the time was never specified. All we really know is that by the time that Yoda and his friend left the planet along with their new Jedi Masters, they were full-fledged Jedi Knights, leading me to speculate that they were in fact training on the planet of Dagobah, which what could be years. When Yoda eventually traveled to the planet and the Jedi Temple at Coruscant, it was discovered that he was very much Force sensitive, more so than his master may have initially even believed. But he was unrefined, and during all of his time on Dagobah, he had not constructed a lightsaber yet. Eventually though, Yoda would complete complete the gathering and gain a crystal of his own and eventually construct a lightsaber of his own design. After several years and adventures as a Jedi Knight, at the ripe age of 96, Yoda officially became a Jedi Master, and surprisingly was later even elected to join the Jedi High Council, as Yoda had risen as one of the premier members of the Jedi Order, as again for the time Yoda had by far the highest midichlorian count of any Jedi serving. Also during this time, Yoda would train several Jedi Padawans to knighthood, also being denoted as an exceptionally great teacher in the ways of the Force, so much so that the Jedi Council appointed Yoda to teach over his own mobile Jedi Academy aboard a starship. Unfortunately though, Yoda and his students would fall upon difficult times when they crash-landed on the dark world of Dathomir, home to the Night Sisters. With his small group of Jedi, Yoda and the Witches of Dathomir waged a massive battle on the planet. Eventually though, the Jedi Master chose to bargain with the Witches rather than shed more blood on both sides. If the Witches of Dathomir allowed Yoda as well as the surviving Jedi to escape the planet, he would leave the data tapes of the ship behind for them to learn from. Fortunately for the Jedi Order at large though, Yoda left behind no means of reading the tapes. Following this event, there's a pretty big gap in Yoda's history. All we know is that by 400 BBY, Yoda was given a great honor among Jedi. That being, at 400 BBY, Yoda was denoted as the most powerful and greatest Jedi in the history of the Order, being compared to other great Grandmasters such as Jedi Master Thrawn and Nomi Sunrider, but still Yoda being considered the greatest of all Jedi. By 200 BBY, something peculiar happened within the Force, as the Jedi began to sense a shift in the Force itself, stating that it seemed as if the very shape of the Force was changing. After Yoda called for all of the Jedi Masters to fall into one meditation, they all determined that what this shift meant was that the dark side of the Force was growing, and potentially that the Sith had returned to the galaxy, as fear of the returned Sith Empire moved swiftly and powerfully among the room. Yoda though suggested that although the Sith had returned, it could also mean the imminent arrival of the Chosen One that would eventually bring balance to the Force and destroy the Sith once and for all. The shift of the Force also brought upon the Jedi Order as a whole a great and dark time, as after sensing the dark side of the Force, many Jedi for the first time began to integrate it within their teaching. Most notably though, young Jedi began experimenting with the dark side of the Force. Jedi that without this massive shift in the Force would have never sensed the darkness any other way. As a result of this young group of Jedi called themselves the Potentium, and fell away from the original teachings of the Jedi Order, again believing that they needed to use the dark as well as the light side of the Force in tandem with one another. Greatly saddened by this, Yoda, along with the other members of the Jedi Council, had no choice but to remove these Jedi from the Order, forcefully so, as Yoda exiled every single member of Potentium from the Order, and did not allow the group to grow among the Jedi any further. Around 100 years after this, a prominent young Jedi initiate would arrive at the temple, a Jedi initiate named Dooku, coming from a prominent family and also having a particularly strong connection to the Force, as Yoda had as well as a young Jedi initiate. Although Yoda was not selected to be the main Jedi Master of Dooku, instead that honor went to a Jedi named Thame. Yoda and Dooku formed a close and a strong relationship, with the Grand Master becoming a strong confidant of the young Dooku, as well as Yoda directly teaching Dooku the ways of lightsaber combat. It was also during this era that Yoda would teach several other Jedi that would grow to be prominent masters in the era to come. Jedi such as the future Battle Master Sin Dralig, as well as the powerful Mace Windu. But I'm going to end the legend story of Yoda here, as we're approaching the era of Star Wars that a lot of people are familiar with. But again, that is the story of Yoda from both canon and Legends continuity. But what are your guys' thoughts on them and the long and layered history of Grandmaster Yoda, despite not really knowing where his true origins lie? What do you ultimately prefer, the more mystery of canon or the deeper explanation of Legends? And do you think we could ever learn the true origins of Yoda's species in Star Wars canon, or will it forever be a mystery? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching. Your support truly means the world to me. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.